Here's Brody Brazil.
Pretty much every single thing about this Arizona Coyotes new arena situation has been fascinating from the start. Like, for example, how the team was even quietly working in the background for many months without anybody really knowing. They were trying to open up this land via auction purchase from the state of Arizona. They've done that, at least opening it up for auction. And then last month, in March, how those random renderings were just released without any detail or explanation. I mean, the team put them out, but no information or detail on what we were looking at. Well, it kind of doesn't matter anymore because now we have the official information and it's all interesting. The new details, the quality, the quantity of the information. There is so much to chew on here, but ultimately what matters most, the Coyotes are saying basically, this is it. There's no plan B if this site doesn't work out for them. Let's begin with what we know via the team. The auction by the state of Arizona has officially been listed. June 27th, it starts at $68.5 million. We knew the amount, we did not know the date, and it's also officially a 110-acre parcel of land. Now, the Coyotes say those renderings you saw in the entire project, like there's a lot to it. That's not just an arena. There's so much more in that development. It's all going to be privately funded. We did not know that for sure before. We expected it based on the fact that this was the route the team was going, but the team now is saying privately funded for sure. And not just that, the team is also saying they're going to go out of their way to provide $100 million of infrastructure improvements that they'll pay for this project and anything else that gets developed around it in the future. Essentially, this site right now has no water, has no sewage, does not have a lot of the necessary utilities already installed. They're willing to do that to secure this plot of land. What do they want to do? 17,000-seat NHL arena, obviously for the team, but they also want to build, I think it's a 3,000-seat concert venue, a plaza in between the two, also 1,900 luxury residential units, and 400,000 square feet of commercial property. So there is a lot going on here. But like I said before, what's a little bit concerning about this, I mean, all that sounded nice. There's also no plan B here. Intentionally. Javier Soto is a reporter for ABC 15, the television affiliate down in Phoenix. He says to Javier Gutierrez, the Coyotes president, "I love the excitement, but is there a plan B? What if you aren't able to obtain that land? Remember, it's up for auction, and sometimes there could be multiple bidders, and it's not just the highest bid that wins. The state of Arizona plainly says it's the highest and best bid that wins." Gutierrez says, "This is it. This is the plan, or else we're going to have to explore relocation of this organization." Pains me to hear that. At least the team is being upfront, but it sets an interesting tone for what's about to play out here. Soto follows up. If I understand correctly, this is the last hurrah. If this doesn't happen, essentially, you've got to start looking at other avenues of the Coyotes possibly leaving Arizona. Gutierrez says, absolutely. And we've made that very clear. And I think everyone should be aware of that this is it, end quote. Now that would kind of fall in line with probably how the NHL is feeling. The NHL has allowed the Coyotes to play at the temporary Mullet Arena, seating 4,600 now for the second season in a row. They'd need a couple more seasons beyond this. They're anticipating 2027-28. That would be the season when this new project would open up for the Coyotes. But there is a bit of a time crunch by the league, and now the team is saying, well, the auction has a date. We'll know by this date what exactly we intend to do. Now, in prior videos, I was able to show you photographic renderings. Now we've got some video to go along with it. And this is going to go here for a minute or two or so. But let me just say, in terms of the design, the rounded corners of all those buildings, the patios, the decks, I don't know what to really call them, the overhangs of the structures, every residence looks like it has some outside space. I love the rooftop gardens. I mean, all of that, the colors, the way it blends into the desert. I think this is architecturally beautiful. Am I saying that right? Architecturally beautiful. And it kind of fits the scene of what a modern arena should look like. Now, all of this other development, I don't know how many phases this comes in. I've said this before, I'll say it again, that arena needs to come first. Yeah, before the residence and the lifestyle district and all the branded retail and the luxury living, everything you're seeing here, the office park, I get it. All of that is part of the end result. But that right there, the entertainment district, the Coyotes arena, maybe their practice facility, that needs to happen so that this team can stay first. Everything else can come down the line. But again, I view these images here and this video in two different ways. Number one, yes, look at that ceiling. That is amazing. That is beautiful. That's modern. That's exactly what you would hope for and expect for in a project just like this. And the arena itself, I mean, how much can you reinvent the wheel? But I like that they'll try and make it different. I like that they're showing us all of this. You're really getting a good grasp of it. But at the same time, this has to come in different phases here. This cannot be all expected all at once. I mean, maybe this is how the 110 acres looks in 15, 20 years, but to expect that all of this is going to come by 27-28, I think we need to hold our horses on that. So yeah, it is interesting. The location, I think, is good, north of Scottsdale, technically North Phoenix. I saw the Coyotes on their social media this morning. We're playing around with the new name of Phoenix, or I should say the old name, but rebranding it as maybe Phoenix. Yeah, the overall site, I mean, that is awesome. It's right next to the Loop 101. It's right off of North Scottsdale Road, accessible. It's in close proximity to things that other things that people already visit. For a lot of reasons, I think this is a great project. It just has to come in phases. And the fact that it's privately funded, I think this is the only way to go. This is the only way to avoid people getting upset or it not happening or delays. Alex Murillo, the Coyotes owner, chairman and governor are his official titles, said, quote, "My family and I are committed to winning this land auction and building a transformative entertainment district that will not require taxpayer funding for the first time in Arizona history. All the other venues required public funding. This one, they say, will not. We will buy this land, build this development, and finish a project that will incur the cost of more than $100 million in infrastructure improvements with no burden placed on taxpayers." So if you're the state and you're doing that land auction and you're looking at what they're trying to provide here, they're going to pay for the infrastructure for their 100 acres plus whatever surrounds it. They're not going to ask taxpayers for anything about this. I mean, do you have to ask much more than the $68.5 million, which is expensive to begin with, right? It's $770,000 per acre for desert. It's a lot. And it's not in the most central location of the valley, but it's in a good location. And so from all these things I see, it should work. But it's up to the state to decide to actually go forward with this. And I'm not aware of what the politics are like on something like this. Who's involved? Who's the decision makers here? It's the state. But how does this get determined and decided? And does it ultimately come down to a cost, like a certain cost that the state wants versus what the Coyotes are willing to do? Is it their bid, yes or no? Or is it some other bidder who now sees this, understands it, and says, I'd like that too? But what could they offer that the Coyotes couldn't here? Again, the site details 17,000 fixed seats in that arena. They can add 1,500 more for the concerts and other things they'll host, other events inside that complex. 150,000 square foot practice facility and team headquarters for the Desert Dogs. Great. They need that. Might as well put it there. Fantastic. Yes, it is a 3,000-seat concert venue, 400,000 square feet of retail space. Talked about that. There's also that party plaza, which is 170,000 square feet, covered by a canopy, and it seemed like it had a ceiling that was made of a video screen. I don't know what they'll ultimately come through with, but a covered plaza, definitely something you would want to consider in Arizona. 1,900 luxury residential units. And again, this is where the project becomes lucrative for the Coyotes and their ownership. If they invest, this is what they'll get out of it for many years to come. This is their carrot that's being dangled as part of this project. This is what they're trying to get out of the project. Not just the new home, but they want to make this investment pay back to them for decades and like centuries to come, generations to come. 400,000 square feet of office space. I talked about the branded retail, dining, bars, the farmers market. You know, I'm a sucker for farmers markets and dog parks. So those are two good inclusions there. Multiple parking structures. I did talk about that before. You can't have all of this be densely populated without a place for people to park and get in and get out with no issues. If you bottleneck this thing, it's going to fail. And when you're talking about not just 17,000 for a hockey game on any given night, but also all the people that live and work there and want to stay and play there, it gets busy quick. And gathering spaces, look, I like everything about this. And I'm glad the team has finally taken the route of saying, we'll pay for all of this. But it's also dangerous to know that if they don't get it the way that they'll want it, they've already plainly told you that they will explore other options. So it comes with some really good parts. It comes with some really precarious parts. We'll obviously see how this plays out in June with the public land auction. $68.5 million is where it starts. You made it here to the end of the video. You know I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That'll greatly help this video and me and this channel. And speaking of that, if you've never seen me or any of this before, I'm glad you found me. Thanks for that. I really do appreciate it. But do me one quick favor. Go down and hit that subscribe button before you go so I can definitely see you back here next time.